Alrighty, BoobTube's another one of Keeps Cleaves. So when is preparing for war and practicing for war? None of the above. When it's war games, yeah baby. It's like the Olympics are killing people. It's fucking amazing. So we've got Finland and Sweden who have recently joined and integrated into the old NATO. And just before we do that, let's recap Wesley Clark's speech. Now, he was opposing let's use this meme, an old-fashioned meme from back in the day. He was opposing the war hawks of the George Bush administration, and he was running for office and president and all that jazz. And he rocked up on Democracy Now! And he talked about these documents that he's seen. Iraq, shithole, job's a good tune. Syria, remember that one? Don't call it a comeback. That's recently came back into the mix. I've even heard the word Al Qaeda fucking mentioned. Affiliates. You know, it's like a feeder club. You know, like Rangers have got Linfield and a few others. And English clubs have feeder clubs all over the gaff. The Saudi mob, they've got hundreds of feeder clubs for their bigger outfits. It's kind of like that, the terrorist world. All funded by probably the same big rich oligarch, which is a word which means cunts with lots of power and influence, but we won't call them aristocracy. Gotta love words, man. Gotta love words. Every day's a school day. Lebanon, that's been in perpetual warfare for a good bit now. Libya, I think the UK has just signed an agreement with Libya to try and stop brown people in boats coming. Job's a good tune there. Somalia, we're fucking up the Somalian pirates, that's right folks, that's the shit the BBC told us. Sudan, they're all killing each other. A wee bit of civil war. And finishing off with Iran, they're in the crosshairs. Or are Iran and the West pretty much already at war inside the Gaza and Syria to a certain extent. I would say Syria. Oh, sorry, I was thinking about Yemen as well, and the Red Sea. You know, depending on what mast you nail your flag, it depends on what proxies you focus on or accept existing. You know. And you can, for me, when you hear somebody speak, well, depending on what proxies you focus on or accept exist, you can tell where they've nailed their mast. So let's have a wee look at the BBC's. Not fucking task manager.
For the first time since it officially joined NATO, the Swedish flag has been raised in a ceremony at the alliance's headquarters in Brussels. Both Sweden and Finland, which have cast aside their neutrality, have been taking part in the largest NATO military exercise since the end of the Cold War.
Nothing quite like fucking countries picking a team. Quite literally nailing their flag to a mast.
All this amid warnings of a renewed threat to Europe from Russia following its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Jonathan.
Full-scale invasion? Where's the full-scale invasion? And where's the paratroopers fucking coming into Kiev? Where's the tanks doing a fucking blitzkrieg? You know, they're piling on. Where's the nuclear bombs fucking in all the western cities? Or it looks like they're kind of just slicing off a wee sort of a buffer zone between NATO, it's called Ukraine, but it is, it's NATO. They're flying a false flag right now. Ukraine, they're portrayed as an independent country, but if it wasn't for NATO members countries, they would be done in already.
Beale reports from the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
NATO says it's a bulwark for peace, but it's preparing for war. This is just part of its massive military exercise taking place right across Europe. And with newest members, Sweden and Finland, in no doubt as to why they've joined.
Being alone against Russia is like, why take that risk when you can join NATO?
I personally feel a lot safer because now we have allies to depend on.
In this scenario, they've come to defend northern Norway after it's been invaded. They're not calling the...
I heard Putin had a fucking fetish for fucking meatballs. Maybe that's why he was, the Sweden got the heads up about Putin's secret invasion plans for Sweden. And they were like, hey, Putler, you're not having our meatballs. Get your eyes off our meatballs, Putler. We're going to NATO.
Enemy Russia, but it is a near neighbour. The aim of this exercise is to demonstrate how NATO would come to the aid of an ally under attack. It is the very principle of the alliance. An attack on one is an attack on all. But just how likely is that? No one's saying the threat is imminent. Russia's preoccupied with its war in Ukraine. But it is Moscow's aggression that's sounding the alarm.
The important thing is, it's not if they will reinforce themselves.
Sitting there having war games and tanks and guns and troops going, yeah, look, this is what we can do to you, you fuckers. And they're talking about Russia's aggression. It's beautiful. And again, believe it or not, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just remember the timeline. Fucking, like, Rain Manish So. The timeline of how what's happening in Ukraine happened. And you could say Russia was the economic aggressor and they won the economic war, but they certainly didn't they weren't the first people that turned it into a kinetic war. Hey, I've been reading my thesaurus, man. And what I mean by this sense of that is, I call it Maidan, but Euromaidan or Maidan, Euromaidan. Anyway, for me that was the West's first when they helped and fermented a coup. You know, a big fucking coup. In Ukraine. And nobody talks about that. It's all about Crimea. When did Russia invade Crimea? Oh, they didn't. They didn't have to. They were already there. And nobody wants to talk about that. Or the fact that you can say that Russia held elections in Crimea and you can say they weren't fair and democratic, but people and Donald Trump said the last American election wasn't fair and democratic, so who the fuck knows? Anyway, let's get back into this.
How long will it take?
You're sure Russia is a threat?
I'm sure that Russia is the threat, yes. And that we need to become even stronger as an allied country in the upcoming 5 and 10 years.
It's those living closest who are most aware of the threat. The country's now boosting defence spending, but also mentally preparing themselves for war.
Ching-ching!
Both Finland and Norway share a border with Russia. And they've already strengthened their defences with a citizen army. Teachers, nurses and carpenters. They're also part-time soldiers. These are members of Norway's home...
Right, now, if people can't see echoes of World War II, man, and shit, with all this bull crap, man, and then they'll show you all this and go, now for the weather. Or they'll go to a report about a wee schoolgirl or a wee girl in nursery school who wrote a poem and get a fucking reward off a fucking Duchess of fucking muchness.
Guard. But it's no dad's army. Most are young and ready to fight.
You know, in World War II, this county was burned down. The whole county. So my grandparents, everyone, they had to flee. And so if that's my option, or just stay here and fight and do something I'm trained for, I'd rather stay here and fight. Yeah.
Shaking in his boots.
Look at the newspaper.
more often now than I did before, just to see if there's something.
Well, you know, they're getting captured.
Something that's happened, or, yeah, especially with Russia.
For these Nordic allies, it is now strength in numbers. But for Russia, it's the mother of all unintended consequences.
Join the fucking army?
More NATO on its border. Jonathan Beale, BBC News, the Arctic Circle.
More NATO on your border, fucking
The UN Secretary
Ruskies.
General has again
Stop
called
being
for
aggressive.
a Ramadan ceasefire in Sudan.
Woo! Oh, Sudan! Beautiful. A Ramadan ceasefire in Sudan. You couldn't make this shit up. See, the people that know, that are really in the know, they've known what's coming in the pipeline for ages. Maybe that's one reason. Here's a theory. Maybe that's one reason why everybody is sort of no matter, everybody's got in like a sort of a warlike mentality. Everybody's ready to rip out the other side's face off, man. Woo! Yeah, man. And you need people with that kind of attitude if you're going to convince them to fucking go and rip those cunts' fucking faces off. And that's basically fucking what you need to... It's the mentality you need if you're fucking going to rock up and on the front lines, I would suggest. So if you want to see that Wesley Clark stuff, I'll leave a link for that. And you can go and check it out. Just him and Democracy Now. Now, do bear in mind it was electioneering at the time. So it would have been early 2000s, mid 2000s. During the Bush administration, and it's on Democracy Now. If you do your due diligence on them, you'll see their political leanings and stance and whatnot. And there's Sweden and Finland now integrating their armed forces to swing their dick in Putin's face. Yeah, baby, get it, got it. Good. Good cheese. No cats or cheese were harmed in the film. Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.